like to call to order the March 7th meeting of the Clearwater City Council. Please welcome Tracy Thomas from the Atheists of Florida Tampa Bay Coalition of Reason and Humanist Society, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Mr. Poglaze. Ms. Thomas, or Mr. Thomas.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. My name is Jim Peterson, by the way, and our speaker was delayed by traffic, apparently. But ladies and gentlemen of the council, once again, I am privileged to come before this body to summon some thoughts about the foundational nature of our common enterprise, yours as public service in our city of over 115,000 residents, and mine as a citizen with all the obligations that maintaining our democracy demands. While an invocation is conventionally thought of as a conveyance for some denominational religious thought, it seems appropriate to invoke the wisdom of those who came before us. The intelligence of their thinking and their participation in the ever-ongoing struggle of human history have endowed our time with the gift of freedom, a flower that does not cease to grow, but which requires careful nurture to exist. The everyday demands of the life of our city can sometimes obscure the roots of our commitment to freedom, but it is often useful to reconnect with that past and touch once again the driving force of human history that is manifest over the 230 years of the American story. Our experience is not limited to the vast changes of our own narrative, but now lights the path of all humanity. For better or worse, leads the development of our species. Whether the condition of the natural world or the direction of our political and social rights and freedoms, we are called upon at all levels to use our best knowledge and our sharpest wit to secure what we have gained while continuing to develop all aspects of our individual and community potential. In no small measure, it is our greatest asset, the ability to think, to reason, that must be treasured and protected. It is the source of our greatest abilities and accomplishments. In law, it is the First Amendment of our Bill of Rights that is the shining shield of defense against all who would limit that freedom. The historical record and our own contemporary life have shown the importance of ensuring that no religious, political, or ideological group shall impose its hegemony over the mind of man, as Thomas Jefferson so eloquently put it. It is to you, our commissioners, that we have placed our trust, in that you are at the cutting edge of securing freedom and the flowering of liberty at the most intimate level of everyday life. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson, for being with us, and I apologize for not recognizing you earlier. Let me remind you, please, if you have a cell phone or other device, to put it on silence or vibrate so that we don't hear it. Mr. Poglaze reminds me that we charge you $1 if it goes off, and we'll charge council members $2, Mr. Poglaze, just to make you more aware.
Let me double check.
To my extreme left is our city clerk, Rosemary Call, our city attorney, Pam Aiken.
Good evening.
Councilmember David Albritton.
Good evening.
Councilmember Jay Poglaze.
Good evening.
To my right is Councilmember Bob Cundiff.
Hi, folks.
Councilmember Hoyt Hamilton.
Good evening.
Our city manager, Bill Horn.
Good evening.
And our deputy city manager, Jill Silverboard.
Good evening.
Our first order of business is to recognize our Clearwater for Youth Scholarship winners, and I would like to call forward Casey Smith, who is the new executive director of that program, and the honorees, many of whom we saw at our Clearwater for Youth banquet on the 23rd. And if we have some parents that would like to come and take pictures from back here, we just ask that you be careful as you come up because it's a little tight.
Thank you, Mayor, council members, and the city staff for your generous and continuous support of CFY. I'm so pleased and so honored to relay that at the celebrity banquet, as the mayor just referenced, we awarded 16 students, outstanding student leaders, $95,000 in scholarships. They are an awesome group of seniors, and to help celebrate each recipient, I'd like to call forth Dawn Dowderty, who is our Clearwater for Youth Board of Trustee and also Scholarship Chair.
Good evening. I think you've seen me here before, and I'm so excited to be here again and introduce to you our recipients this year. And it's with great pleasure as well that you get to meet Casey, who is our new executive director, as she stated, and we could not be happier at Clearwater for Youth to have Casey with us. She's just been a pleasure, and we're looking forward to big things ahead of us. So with that said, Casey did indicate that it was $95,000 this year that we've given away, but in all of our time of scholarships, we are approaching $750,000 in scholarships for high school seniors. So we're pretty excited and very proud about that. So tonight, why don't we meet our recipients? And we have first from the Clearwater Police Department, who Chief Dan Slaughter sponsors, Anna Sophia Landa Cruz. So Anna Sophia comes to us from Countryside High School with a 4.47 GPA, and she is the president of the National Honor Society. She's a swim team captain and also track and soccer. She has been accepted at the University of Florida, and that is where she is going to go. Is that correct? It's not. It's the University of Central Florida. Oh, she's been accepted. Oh, no, she's been accepted. She's not necessarily attending. She has a lot of choices here. Okay, thank you.
Yes, so.
Maybe you should do this, Casey. Next, we have Michael Carboni, and Michael comes to us with a sponsor from the Patel family, from Dr. Karan and the Patel Foundation. He comes to us from Clearwater High School with a 4.55 GPA. He's the team captain for soccer, and he's also the Athletic Leadership Conference ambassador. He is a historian in the Science National Honor Society, too. So he is accepted and will attend Barry University. We next have from Dealers Auction Exchange, Auto Exchange, which is Gary and Amy Connors. Most of you know Gary and Amy. They're sponsoring Trevor Kavanaugh. And Trevor comes to us from Clearwater High School with a 3.61 GPA. He is the track and cross country team captain. He's also was named the cross country most outstanding runner. So his colleges that he was accepted at quite a few, but he is going to University of Florida. Congratulations. And I'm not sure that I said that Michael Carboni came from Clearwater High School, so just got to get a plug in for CHS, my alma mater. Our next is the Art Capona Memorial. The family of the Caponas are sponsoring Angelina Hera. And Angelina also comes to us from Clearwater High School. I promise, we went all over the county. And she comes to us with a 4.40 GPA. She is the soccer team captain, the track team captain, and an officer in Future Business Leaders of America. She is going to the University of Florida. Congratulations. Next, we have Brianna Hopkins, and Brianna Hopkins is sponsored by Clearwater Gas System. Brianna comes to us from Clearwater High School with a 3.7 GPA. She is a cheerleading captain. She is a civil rights ambassador and involved with the Big Brothers and Big Sisters. She's right behind me. You can't see me. I keep looking for her and I can't find you down the line. She is accepted and will be attending the Florida Agriculture and Mechanical University. Next, we have Brain Harris Masoke, and he comes to us from Clearwater High School as well with a 3.14 GPA. He's a civil rights ambassador, cross-country, and track captain, and he will be attending our local St. Pete College. We next have, oh, he's not here. We next have Nicole Tacridi, and Nicole comes to us from Countryside High. See, I told you we had other than Clearwater High. And she comes to us with a 4.52 GPA. She is a softball captain, volleyball captain, and captain for Relay for Life. She's a member of the National Honor Society as well. Her college is undecided, but she has been accepted at USF and the University of Central Florida. Am I missing somebody? I am. Kendrick. Well, let's see, Kendrick. He also received, the Capona family were very generous this year, and they gave us 2 $5,000 scholarships. So he is receiving the second Art Capona Memorial Scholarship, and he comes to us from Calvary Christian with a 3.0 GPA. He is the track and football captain, the YMCA 134 community service hours. 134 community service hours. That's to be commended. He's been accepted at St. Anselm, and that is where you're going, or are you going to Northern?
I'm going to Northern State University to play football.
Correct. Oh, there you go, to play football, not just to go to school. He's going to play football. And with that said, these are our award winners, our recipients for our scholarships that are here tonight. Please give them a round of applause.
On behalf of all of us on council, congratulations. But did Mrs. Darty tell y'all that before you got your checks that you had to sing the fight song for the school that you're going to and at council tonight? She didn't?
You know, Mr. Mayor always pulls one of these just to get you at the end. Would you like to?
Absolutely, yeah. After they sing.
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Yeah, but they could probably do the Clearwater alma mater, I don't know.
Congratulations, best of luck to you.
Parents, you're welcome to get pictures for those of you who'd like to come up to the arm.
Yeah, watch your steps coming across.
Congratulations.
Watch your step coming across. Okay, congratulations. I like eating dessert first. Did you run over here? Whoop. Yeah, don't, be careful. Congratulations. Yeah, watch your step. Watch your step.
Doing good.
Well done. Congratulations. Thank you. Watch your step.
It's all good. Just think.
Yeah, Don, thanks. Okay.
Hi.
There it is.
Very nice, thank you very much. Hey, how are
He pulled
you?
it out.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
Great.
For those of you who may not be sports fans, this opportunity that Clearwater for Youth does is to give, our youth a chance to be active all day long and to recognize their accomplishments and then give them an opportunity to continue their education if that's the road that they decide to follow. So thank you to Clearwater for Youth for the many programs that they provide, not only for these older kids, but also for the younger ones, to give them a chance to get involved in Little League and youth soccer, swimming programs. It's just a myriad of different activities that they provide our young people, and we appreciate all the work that they do. Thank you to Clearwater for Youth and its sponsors. Council, I'm going to call forward now Sue Bedry from the Tampa Bay Times for the newspaper and education proclamation. Whereas research shows that one of the best ways to help children discover the joy of reading and become lifetime readers is to involve them in reading early and frequently. And whereas children who are good readers improve their chances for success in school and become better informed and more engaged. And whereas Newspapers in Education is an international program that encourages the use of the daily newspaper as a living textbook for students from primary through adult education. And whereas for more than 40 years, the Tampa Bay Times, also known as the St. Petersburg Times, newspaper and education program has served educators, students, and families by providing classroom newspapers and companion materials and instructional support. Now, therefore, I, George Creticus, Mayor of the City of Clearwater, on behalf of the Clearwater City Council, do hereby proclaim March 4th to 8th to be Newspaper and Education Week. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for everything you do.
I did it for years when I was teaching at Clearwater.
Awesome.
Watch your step.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Council now call for the Clearwater Arts Alliance, and the members who are here.
We got a gang today.
Yeah,
Most of our board.
good, all the board.
Make a big circle.
Yeah, y'all can be on both sides.
Hello.
Where,
Oh, a happy circle.
Whereas the opportunity to learn about the creative arts and to perform as artists, musicians, dancers, and other art forms is an essential part of a well-rounded curriculum. And whereas youth participating in the arts demonstrates increased ability to communicate effectively, improve attitudes towards school, and decrease dropout rates. And whereas arts education creates thinking and self-expression are important components in the development of innovative and critical skills needed for success in today's global economy and workplace. And whereas the arts are an integral to the development of social competencies, including collaboration and teamwork skills, effective communication, social tolerance, and self-confidence. Now, therefore, I, George Creticus, Mayor of the City of Clearwater, on behalf of the Clearwater City Council, do hereby proclaim March 2019 to be Youth Arts Month in Clearwater and call upon our citizens to celebrate and promote youth arts participation by visiting student art displays in the Clearwater Main Library and the SPC Clearwater Campus Crossroads Gallery. Ladies, thank y'all for all the work that y'all do.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Y'all want to Yeah, we'll do. y'all-
Thank you. Thank you both so much. I'll stand guard over this. Thank you.
Watch your steps as y'all go up.
That's a bad thing.
Hey, Marlene.
Thank you so much.
That's things, I don't know what we're gonna do about that. Figure something out about that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Watch your
That's what they want you to control on that.
Okay.
Just in case. Thank you so much.
Council will now have Sarah Kessler from our engineering department, our environmental specialist. Come forward. Thank you. Whereas cities throughout Florida experience severe weather in the forms of extreme rainfall or tropical system events, resulting in flooding in beach waterfront areas, as well as to neighborhoods in low to moderate risk flood zones. And whereas the city of Clearwater participates in the National Flood Insurance Program, which provides residents with the opportunity to protect themselves against flood loss through the purchase of flood insurance, and which sets higher regulatory standards to reduce the flood risk and potential flood damage to property. And whereas the reduction of loss of life and property damage can be achieved when appropriate flood preparedness, control, and mitigation measures are taken before a flood. And whereas public education and awareness of the potential weather hazards and methods of protection are critical to the health, safety, and welfare of residents. Now, therefore, I, George N. Creticus, Mayor of the City of Clearwater, on behalf of the Clearwater City Council, do hereby proclaim March 11th to 15th to be Flood Awareness Week in Clearwater to increase the knowledge of flood risk, the availability of flood insurance, flood protection methods, and how to prepare for emergencies. And also to thank our staff for the work that it does throughout the year in environmental and environmental measures. Thank you very much, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And finally, council, we have a presentation from Samantha Alvarez, who is the board president of our Paint Your Heart Out Clearwater program. Samantha.
Hello, good evening.
Hi.
Hi, good to see you. Oh, okay, thank you. I'm Samantha Alvarez, Board President, and I'm here with the rest of the board for Paint Your Heart Out. Thank you for seeing us today. And what we are is a organization, nonprofit, made up of all volunteers, and our event is one day, once a year, where we paint about 12 homes in the city of Clearwater. And I want to say a huge thank you to the city of Clearwater and to the mayor for always helping us. We've been around for 27 years painting homes. On the slide, you'll see some of the pictures from our past paint days. Our next one is coming up on April 6th, so I invite you all to come out and join us, see what we do. We have an after party for all the volunteers that come out and paint with us, and that will be held at the park right behind City Hall. And we have a nice celebration together for all the work that we've done, all the volunteers. Anybody else?
On behalf of Paint Your Heart Out, we are a volunteer organization. And
Come to the microphone.
Sorry.
on behalf of Paint Your Heart Out, we are a volunteer organization, and we wouldn't be able to accomplish what we do without our wonderful group of volunteers. You can find us on Facebook. We've been on the city's Facebook. We need volunteers. Anybody who would like to come out and help us, we'd love to see you. We'd like to take care of our volunteers. We have a wonderful party afterwards to celebrate what we've been able to accomplish in one day. We'd love to see you. You know, we thank you again for all of your support, and we look forward to many years here in Clearwater.
Thank you. Why don't we introduce everybody to Samantha while you're...
Okay.
Excuse me, Madra Franklin Bell, and I've been doing it for 23 years.
Terry Malcolm Smith, about 10 years, not as much as Madra, but it's a great program, and we'd love to continue it within Clearwater.
Tony McGinnis, 19 years. It's an amazing program. It's very rewarding. It's amazing what a difference we can make in one day for the community and the homeowners.
I'm sorry.
Joanne Simon, I've been around for maybe seven years now.
And remind everybody again how they can register if they want to volunteer on April the 6th.
So we have an email address that you can email us, and it is pyhoc paintmyhouse@gmail.com. You can also find us on Facebook.
And what's your Facebook? Paint Your Heart Out.
It's
Clearwater.
Paint Your Heart Out Clearwater.
Okay, great. Very good. Please come.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good seeing you.
Watch your step.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
How are you, sweetie?
Thank you.
Okay, be careful with the steps there.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Let's see some action here. I thought we
Good warming up.
Good to see you. Good to see you again.
Council, are there any addition or corrections to the minutes of February the 21st?
Move to approve. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes of February the 21st. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Anybody from the public wishing to speak to an item that is not on the agenda? If so, please come forward at this time. Make sure we have a card filled out, and please give us your name.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Rudy Michalek. I am filing a complaint of conflict of interest related to the recent vote by the City Council awarding 27 reserve units to Decade Properties on February 7th at the City Council meeting by a vote of 3-2 with Albatron, Hamilton, and Pograves voting in the affirmative. I believe that Mr. Hoyt Hamilton had a conflict of interest and should have reclused himself from the vote. In summary, Mr. Hamilton, his family, and related businesses filed a hotel density reserve application as early as December 2017 for 49 units from the reserve, which only had 35 units available. All 35 units were allocated to this application, HDA 2017-12002, and placed on the Planning Department's distribution log under pending. The remaining reserve was 0, and during the entire application process continued to be 0. It appears no activity took place on this application, and it was never brought before the City Council. Decade Properties was working with the Development Review Committee as early as June 2nd, 18, on an application. Mr. Mark Perry of Clearwater Planning and Zoning has stated several times to myself that it's illegal to sell or give reserve units from one property owner to another. On October 1st, 2018, the Hamiltons withdrew their 35-unit request via email. On October 1st, a letter signed by Bruce Angst for Decade Properties submitted an application for 850 Bayway Boulevard, noting these units are available pursuant to the withdrawal of HDA 2017-12-002. There is a question to which of these came first, the withdrawal or the application. As of October 1st, 2018, no public notice was given of the availability of units from the density reserve, and therefore no potential developers had an opportunity to apply. During the two council meetings on January 17th and February 7th, Mr. Hamilton voiced a strong support for Decade Properties and voted for approval. Owing to the documented history, which I will pass out in a moment, of Councilman Hamilton as regards to his original application for the units, and actually it was his brother, Ken, that signed that application. And then the subsequent withdrawal of that application on October 1st, the same date as the submission by Brian Angst for Decade Properties, along with other relationships involved, your constituents are asking that the City Council consider the facts that we will hand out, investigate this conflict of interest complaint, and consider if Mr. Hamilton's vote was in fact tainted and should be removed from the voting. Obviously, if it was removed, it would be a 2-2 tie, and that would change the complexion of the approval of that application.
Thank you, sir. Your time is up. Anybody else from the public wishing to speak?
Elizabeth Daniels here on behalf of the Clearwater Arts Alliance, and we don't have any objections, but we're real happy about things that we see in Clearwater with the lovely new murals, the Dali exhibit at the Second Century Gallery, etc. So just wanted to say how excited we are to see those kinds of things coming in our community. I wanted to point out also to you, council members, and to all of you here in the audience today, that in the galleries right around you here in the library, just this past Sunday, 120 wonderful pieces of art from our young students countywide went around, and awards were given by Clearwater Arts Alliance to the 18 top winners adjudicated from all over the county. Now, this was K through 8, so this is the youngest group, but they're really talented, lots of beautiful things to look at. So wanted to point that out to y'all and celebrate what the proclamation was about, really be about enjoying our youth art endeavors this month. Also wanted to point out that we very recently collaborated with the library, had a very successful event in late January called the Indoor Art Walk, which was here in the facility, and had a very nice evening, fun evening, and the artists were very, very pleased with all that. One last thing, too, wanted to bring to you today. I don't know that you all have seen or have had. We very recently, over this last summer, developed and researched a wonderful guidebook to encourage private developers to help with the public art. We know the city is doing a lot through the ordinance, but we are very excited about being able to help facilitate this with other private developers. So I just have a brief handout for each of you with one of these brochures and with pictures from our successful, there were probably a couple hundred people here Sunday with the parents being excited about their children receiving the awards. So I wanted you to see that and just share that with you. And thank you very much. I just have one for each council.
You can give it to the clerk.
Great. If you'll pass those, I just have a supply for each. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, City Manager Horn, and Assistant City Manager. I bring greetings from the Greenwood Panthers Youth Football and Cheer Organization, and we had some conflicts of schedules. So when the Outback did their presentation last month, we weren't able to actually make it. And due to conflicts with different activities, we weren't able to bring too many children tonight. So, but that being said, we still wanted to come out and express our appreciation to the City of Clearwater, the council, and the staff that are ongoing in supporting the Greenwood Panthers since 1984. So this would actually be our 35th year on paper, but programmatically and on the football field and cheerleading, this will be our 34th year. We did very well this year. Cheerleaders, out of 5 cheer squads, we actually had 1 second place, 4 first place, and our Pee Wee cheerleaders were the grand champions. Football, all 5 teams made the playoffs. 3 actually went to the semifinals, 2 went to the Super Bowl, and 1 actually, unfortunately, came up a little short. But the youngest group, our foundation of the organization, our flag team, they actually won the Super Bowl. And we actually included the council members and also City Manager Horn. I apologize. I did not know that the Assistant City Manager would be on the dais. But we included you in our ring count. And if we can approach, or if my secretary, Shanita Poinsett, if she can approach, she'd like to present you with a Super Bowl ring.
Wow.
The only one I'm ever going to get.
Yeah.
You gave me 2, I know.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's 2
supposed to-
different ones.
Two different
okay.
ones.
Yes.
Yeah, so we won Super Bowl ring, and one will actually be the Florida National State Championship. The flag team went 16 wins, 0 losses. So it was a very good season. And again, the services that the City of Clearwater provides to the organization is invaluable so far as the in-kind services. And we just wanted to come tonight and extend our appreciation, to the council, city manager for his ongoing support, and also the staff that does an outstanding job.
Well, congratulations. This is really exciting. 4 more and I'll be like Tom Brady.
All right. Hopefully we'll be back again next year.
Good luck. And it was great having the kids who did come out to the Outback Bowl.
Yes.
So that they could be recognized by the fans from Iowa and Mississippi State and give them somebody else to look up to like those players and coaches. So thank you for what the foundation that you're setting for our youth. We appreciate that. Good job.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate you.
4 more to go.
All right.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public to speak to an item that is not on the agenda? If not, we will close public comment and ask if anybody from the public or council wishes to pull an item off the consent agenda, items 7.1 through 7.16.
Move to approve agenda item 7.1 through 7.16.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda items 7.1 through 7.16. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 8.1, Mr. Horn.
Approve the request from the owner of property addressed as 601 Mandalay Avenue to vacate a 15-foot wide platted alley lying within Block A, replat of part of Mandalay Unit Number 5 as recorded in Plat Book 21, page 13 of the Public Records of Pinellas County, Florida, and pass ordinance number 9246-19 on first reading. Mr. Burzak.
Good evening. Robert Burzak, Real Estate Coordinator. The allocation will allow commercial development of a new Chase Bank on the site. The city will retain an easement through the described property for installation and maintenance of public utilities. The abutting property owners of the alley and city stakeholders have reviewed the alley vacation request and have no objections.
Any questions for staff on agenda item 8.1? Anybody from the public to speak to agenda item 8.1?
Motion to approve agenda item 8.1. Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve agenda item 8.1. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Aiken.
Ordinance number 9246-19. An ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, vacating a 15-foot wide alley lying within Block A, replat of part of Mandalay Unit Number 5 as recorded in Plat Book 21, page 13 of the Public Records of Pinellas County, Florida, lying in southwest one quarter of Section 5, Township 29 South, Range 15 East, Pinellas County, Florida, providing an effective date.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we pass ordinance 9246-19 on first reading.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to pass ordinance 9246-19 on first reading. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 8.2, Mr. Horn.
Approve the request from the owner of property address 26996 U.S. Highway 19 North to vacate a portion of a drainage and utility easement as recorded in Official Records Book 4398, page 362 of the Public Records of Pinellas County, Florida, and pass ordinance 9247-19 on first reading. Mr. Burzak again.
The easement vacation will allow development of a new BJ's wholesale gas station on the site. The easement vacation is dependent upon the property owner granting a new drainage and utility easement to the city and paying all costs to relocate the utilities. City stakeholders have reviewed the vacation request and have no objections.
Questions for staff on agenda item 8.2. I have a note here, council, on my, does everybody have the same note
I
about?
don't have a note, but with this one that has to be advertised, since it's advertised, but we're not taking any
Yes,
action.
but after the work session, legal reviewed the item and decided to go ahead with the first reading. If we do not have the easement document by the second reading, then we will pull deny second reading.
Okay, so this way it doesn't hold it up.
Doesn't hold it up, just in case.
Okay. Any other questions for staff on 8.2? Anybody from the public to speak to agenda item 8.2?
Move approval of agenda item 8.2.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve agenda item 8.2. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Call.
Ordinance number 9247-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, vacating a portion of a drainage and utility easement as recorded in Official Records Book 4398, page 362 of the Public Records of Pinellas County, Florida, lying in southwest one quarter of Section 30, Township 28 South, Range 16 East, Pinellas County, Florida, providing an effective date.
Move to pass ordinance 9247-19 on first reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to pass ordinance 9247-19 on first reading. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 9.1 is a second reading. Ms. Aiken.
Excuse me, I've got my ordinances a little bit out of order here. Here we go. 9.1, ordinance number 9224-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan of the city to change the land use designation for certain real property located on the south side of Union Street, approximately 1/2 mile east of North Highland Avenue, whose post office address is 1625 Union Street, Clearwater, Florida, 33755, from institutional I to residential urban RU, providing an effective date.
Move to adopt ordinance 9224-19 on second reading.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9224-19 on second reading. Anybody from the public to speak to this motion? Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 9.2, Ms. Call.
Ordinance number 9225-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the zoning atlas of the city by rezoning certain real property located on the south side of Union Street, approximately 1/2 mile east of North Highland Avenue, whose post office address is 1625 Union Street, Clearwater, Florida, 33755, from institutional I to low-medium density residential LMDR, providing an effective date.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve ordinance 9225-19 on second reading.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9225-19 on second reading. Anybody from the public speak to this motion? Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 9.3, Ms. Aiken.
Ordinance number 9229-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, annexing certain real property located in the northeast corner of the intersection of Idlewild Drive and North Betty Lane, approximately 620 feet south of Union Street, whose post office address is 1300 Idlewild Drive, Clearwater, Florida, 33755, into the corporate limits of the city and redefining the boundary lines of the city to include said addition, providing an effective date.
I move that we adopt ordinance 9229-19 on second reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9229-19 on second reading. Anybody from the public speak to this motion? Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 9.4, Ms. Call.
Ordinance number 9230-19, ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the future land use elements of the comprehensive plan of the city to designate the land use for certain real property located on the northeast corner of the intersection of Idlewild Drive and North Betty Lane, approximately 620 feet south of Union Street, whose post office address is 1300 Idlewild Drive, Clearwater, Florida, 33755, upon annexation to the City of Clearwater as residential urban RU, providing an effective date.
Move to adopt ordinance 9230-19 on second reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9230-19 on second reading. Anybody from the public to speak to this motion? Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 9.5, Ms. Aiken.
Ordinance number 9231-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the zoning atlas of the city by zoning certain real property located in the northeast corner of the intersection of Idlewild Drive and North Betty Lane, approximately 620 feet south of Union Street, whose post office address is 1300 Idlewild Drive, Clearwater, Florida, 33755, upon annexation into the City of Clearwater as low-medium density residential, LMDR, providing an effective date.
I move to adopt ordinance 9231-19 on second reading.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9231-19 on second reading. Anybody from the public to speak to this motion? Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 9.6, Ms. Call.
Ordinance number 9232-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, annexing certain real properties located generally north of Drew Street, south of State Road 590, and within 1/4 mile west of North McMullen Booth Road, whose post office addresses are 3041 Grandview Avenue, 510 Moss Avenue, and 3025 Merrill Avenue, all within Clearwater, Florida, 33759, into the corporate limits of the city, and redefining boundary lines of the city to include said additions, providing an effective date.
Move to adopt ordinance number 9232-19 on second reading.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9232-19 on second reading. Anybody from the public to speak to this motion? Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 9.7, Ms. Aiken.
Ordinance number 9233-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan of the city to designate the land use for certain real properties located generally north of Drew Street, south of State Road 590, and within 1/4 mile west of North McMullen Booth Road, whose post office addresses are 3041 Grandview Avenue, 510 Moss Avenue, and 3025 Merrill Avenue, all within Clearwater, Florida, 33759, upon annexation into the City of Clearwater as residential low RL, providing an effective date.
I move that we adopt ordinance 9233-19 on second reading.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9233-19 on second reading. Anybody from the public to speak to this motion? Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 9.8, Ms. Call.
Ordinance number 9234-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the zoning atlas of the city by zoning certain real properties located generally north of Drew Street, south of State Road 590, and within 1/4 mile west of North McMullen Booth Road, whose post office addresses are 3041 Grandview Avenue, 510 Moss Avenue, and 3025 Merrill Avenue, all within Clearwater, Florida, 33759, upon annexation to the City of Clearwater's low-medium density residential LMDR, providing an effective date.
I move to adopt ordinance 9234-19 on second reading.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9234-19 on second reading. Anybody from the public to speak to this motion? Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 10.1, Mr. Horn.
Ratify and confirm an increase to contract number 900075 with Heath Consultants, Inc. in the amount of $100,000 to provide natural gas line locating services and authorize the appropriate officials to execute same. Mr. Langill.
Good evening. Brian Langill, Assistant Director for Clearwater Gas System. This is our contractor that does all of our line locating of our gas mains and service lines that are in the ground. We're required to locate all of our facilities as part of the state regulations for Sunshine One Call. Whenever there's construction activities going on, all utilities need to be located. We were running low on funds and needed additional money to get us through the end of the contract period. This is due to an increased workload because of tickets, more construction activity going on in Pinellas County and Pasco County as well. So we've seen a significant increase with that. So we're in need of additional funds.
Questions for staff on agenda item 10.1? Anybody from the public speak to agenda item 10.1?
Move approval of agenda item 10.1.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve agenda item 10.1. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 10.2, Mr. Horn.
Approve a utility work by highway contractor agreement with the Florida Department of Transportation in the amount of $183,755 to remove natural gas mains along State Road 52 from the Suncoast Parkway to U.S. Highway 41, and authorize the appropriate officials to execute same and adopt Resolution 19-05. Mr. Langill again.
This is a road widening project along State Road 52, which is our northern boundary of our distribution system. This contract will allow the FDOT to go ahead and remove our gas lines when they are in the construction phase, and then it's still on our responsibility to add new gas lines in the appropriate area for the road project.
Questions for staff on 10.2? Anybody from the public to speak to agenda item 10.2?
Move approval of agenda item 10.2.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve agenda item 10.2. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 10.3.
Resolution.
Sorry.
You get the resolution.
Resolution 19-05, a resolution of the City of Clearwater, Florida, approving the execution of a utility work by highway contractor agreement with the State of Florida Department of Transportation regarding removal of natural gas mains and facilities for the improvement project for State Road 52, Schrader Highway, from west of Suncoast Parkway to east of US 41, providing an effective date.
Move to adopt Resolution 19-05.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt Resolution 19-05. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 10.3, Mr. Horn.
Yes, Mayor and Council, since our relocation, all of you at various times have expressed an interest in discussing or talking about the demolition of the old City Hall. You all wanted to do it on Monday. We had some key staff not here. And so its placement on the agenda tonight is to allow you to have that opportunity to discuss and give the council, give the staff some guidance on what direction you'd like to go.
Since Mr. Albritton was first to bring it up, at least here, I'll let you go first.
Okay, well, my concern is to show movement on Imagine Clearwater, and I think that the demolition of City Hall, since we've moved out, should start. But this afternoon I had a chance to talk to our Mr. Maxwell on a couple of concerns that that he had, so I may let him describe to you what those concerns were as far as parking for some events that are coming up, because as you know, Harbor View Center the end of this month is going to be coming down, and I think we need to be thinking about some of the events that are in play right now and how we're going to park them. I do want to show forward movement on this, and perhaps he can come up with a idea of other parking that we could use instead of the City Hall site, because I think once that goes under demolition, aren't you going to need most of that parking there for staging and so forth?
We anticipate needing most of that parking lot, yes. Sorry, we anticipate needing most of that City Hall parking lot in the front, correct.
Okay, and you told me that there was maybe some other areas that you could think about parking for some of these events, but you didn't know where that was yet, so.
Sure, why don't I step back, because I haven't had a chance to talk to the other council members as I spoke to you this afternoon, but one of our concerns with immediate push forward with the demo relates back to a timing issue. Our current contract with the Harbor View, obviously it's underway. It should cease on August 7th. That's when that contract is supposed to be over, and the property is supposed to be returned to us the way that it was given to the contractor, sans the Harbor View, of course. So the parking lot will then be able to be reactivated. That equates to about 168 spaces in the downtown, 168 parking spaces. So those will be out of commission probably until August 7th. If we were to move forward as quickly as we can to try to demolish the City Hall building, we would need to do an asbestos survey, which we've already started the process of getting a contractor to do that. Tim Kurtz from our engineering department is currently working with several contractors to do that. So we're going to move forward with that regardless. We would then need to draft our RFP, which again, we can do that immediately as well. And then we would go out to bid. We expect that whole process to probably take around 3 months from end of April, roughly, if everything moved as quickly as it could. That would put us around July for a notice to proceed, maybe August for a notice to proceed. If it is prior to August 7th, we have concerns about then pulling the additional, and I have the number here, 135 spaces from City Hall out of the equation for downtown parking. So then we would have the 138 and the 168 out for a total of 303 being out of commission until Harbor View came back online. Probably a short timeline, but still a number of spaces being offline at the same time. If we started it right after Harbor View came back online, we would then have about 2 months then until Jazz Holiday and Hispanic Heritage. So those are the events that Councilmember Albritton was mentioning. You know, we would be removing those 138 spaces for those two events. Those are high draw events for us. Considering the month and a half, 2 months, you know, there's certainly a value question there that we need to answer. We're trying to find some other options as far as some sort of park and ride, something like that. We don't have that nailed down yet, but we certainly can continue to do that. And I expect in April we could probably come back with solutions. Now there may be some cost associated with that. I don't know yet. But while we're working on the asbestos survey, while we're working on the RFP, we can come up with some options, and then you can decide whether or not that pushing forward as quickly as possible is the correct approach, or if we want to hold off for a couple months. So that's what I've got.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor, to follow up on that. So Harborview is going to come down, but we're not going to be doing anything with the parking lot in back of Harborview until?
Correct.
Later. In other words.
Correct. That would be, there is no demolition of that parking lot in the agreement. So it's just the building. That's being removed, and then the other portion would be a part of the demo associated with the Magic Clearwater.
Okay, so I guess my concern is if we really want to be moving forward on this project, Magic Clearwater, Harborview was the first big piece that needed to happen, and we've been hoping, I mean, it is close on the horizon now. But what do we do after Harborview comes down? What is our next step that we can do to keep things moving forward? Is it taking the parking out? I mean, I guess we're not going to be doing that until after we have a commitment with our events, right? I mean, you can't take the parking lot out and still have a jazz holiday, so.
Well, no, we can take some of those parking lot areas out. It definitely changes how we set up events. It removes our ability to park cars down there and requires us to have more of a park and ride scenario. But we are preparing for those scenarios as well for, the year after. We've talked to Jazz Holiday about not moving forward with a significant removal of the area the footprint that they normally operate within prior to.
So probably up to where the food court would be.
Yeah, right.
In that area.
Yeah, and including, at this point, we've not intended to take out the asphalt surface at the moment, only because we didn't need to do it yet. We want to do it as part of the overall construction for the park. Now, phased, albeit, so we're not, if we're doing the Civic Gateway and the band shell area, we'll remove some of that area and then add back in whatever dirt or sod needs to be added back in and construct whatever we decide we're going to construct. But we would anticipate that being part of the contract for construction with whoever we select for that construction.
Okay, so it would seem to me that, and I don't know the rest of my colleagues, but I would say if we're going to be pressing forward on this, that we be thinking about what we're going to do for the park and ride, because we're going to definitely be doing it next year and probably the end of this year as well with some of the big events that we have scheduled, so.
Yep.
Mr. Albert, I'm going to take a little different approach to all of this.
I know you are.
Because all I hear is we need to tear things down.
Yes.
Okay? And tearing things down is fine, but that's not what Imagine Clearwater was all about. Imagine Clearwater was building things. And what was the one thing that we were supposed to do first off on Imagine Clearwater? And that's to get the Civic Gateway done. Not tearing down City Hall, not even putting City Hall on the market until we had something that got people excited about being downtown. Tearing City Hall down isn't going to get people excited. It's not even going to show any movement. It's just going to show that we're good at tearing things down. What we ought to be focusing all of our attention on right now is getting the Harborview Center down and the Civic Gateway built so that people will know that we're building things up as opposed to tearing things down. And furthermore, if we're going to tear City Hall down, why should we pay for it? Why not wait until we have the plan put together and offer a developer through an RFP an opportunity to do the whole site at one time and let him bear the expense of tearing something down? Let's concentrate on building the Civic Gateway and getting that done. And moving on with Imagine Clearwater, that part that we can control and that we must control. That's my 2 cents.
and if you want me to, I'm basically where you are, Mayor, in that I'm leery of tearing down City Hall before we know what's going to replace it. Because, Pam, correct me if I'm wrong, any public land west of Osceola for development has to go to referendum.
Yes, sir.
Okay, given that, you tear down City Hall right now, A, we got to do it on our dime, and I'm not sure where that money's going to come from. B, you're going to create an open vista that people are going to get used to. And then you're finally going to go back to them and say, by the way, now we want you to let us take that vista away for this development. You're going to create you could create a bad situation. You know, with City Hall there, it shows that that property has been developed in the past. And if we're going to tear it down to immediately build what the new development's going to be, that's a good thing. But to tear it down and then people start getting in their mind, hey, that's pretty good, not having that open space, it's going to make getting a referendum passed a little more difficult for us. So, and I really am leaning towards taking all of the public lands west of Osceola, putting them in one RFP for a master development and a master development opportunity, and see what the development community has in mind, what they think is the right thing, and then we get to decide what we like and what we don't like. But, you know, kind of go at it at that thing, because to me, the only part right now, yeah, I'd love to tear it down too, but if we tear it down now, it's on our dime, and I don't know where that dime's coming from right now with some of the other things we've committed money to, and again, I don't want to create a visual that is going to make a future referendum that much harder to convince the taxpayers and the voters that this is a good thing. That's kind of where I look at it.
Mr. Kunda.
I'd like to suggest that our city can do two things at the same time. We don't have to do just one thing at a time. We can work on tearing Harborview down, and we can also work on that RFP for a master developer and work on what's going to replace Harborview for a structure in addition to the gateway, and then what's going to replace City Hall, what's going to be built on the Pierce Street property. And if we work on all of that at the same time, I think the city will see that we are moving ahead, we're not dragging our feet, and we can get some beautiful things accomplished.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is an interesting conversation. For me, we were going to talk tonight about a policy to demolish, because we've had one-on-ones. So it was not a matter of if, but when. And there's several things that come into mind, referring to the timeline that Mr. Maxwell talked about. August the 7th, I think the Harvey is supposed to be down, so that leaves 2 months until Jazz Holiday. Now, if there's going to be, so let's take off the table the taking down the City Hall, just for a second. But a policy to do something with that site. So there's a lot, whether a developer has to do it or the city does it, there are questions. Are there going to be problems with Pierce Street? Is there going to be problems with Water's Edge? All these different things that still have to be answered, the asbestos abatement. There's a lot of things that we could be, that you say we're already doing now. Do we need a policy to codify that to make sure that we go forward? Because we know it's going to come down at some point.
No,
There's going to be responsibilities.
Absolutely. The asbestos abatement needs to be done regardless. At some point, something will happen to the building, and we will need that asbestos abatement.
Right. So if the Harvey is gone by August the 7th, that leaves 2 months until Jazz Holiday. Now, still considering that maybe we take it down, we go as soon as possible, that leaves 2 months till Jazz Holiday with the internal work.
Okay with them using,
right.
But really it's the choice of the contractor. I got that correct?
So I would ask, and maybe it's economic development, I'm not sure who would answer this question. So from a, developers, they're paying attention. They know we're serious now. We've moved out of City Hall. We're taking down the Harborview Center. So to really sort of create even more momentum to show them that we're serious is a site that is clear of all buildings, to include Harborview and City Hall. Is it more attractive to a developer to have wiped slate clean properties? I mean, do you consider putting feelers out now to see if there's interest in both sites? They know we're doing Imagine Clearwater. They know Harborview's coming down. How do we know if a developer wants it all cleared, if it's going to be better? And as I understand, the City Hall is not going to be near the demolition price tag that the Harborview is what I've heard. And so we're talking less than 200,000 or something. I don't know if that sounds accurate.
Yeah, we don't have any estimates.
So that's, I would just wonder, in the developer world.
It should absolutely be less intense.
Yeah. So in a developer's world, I'm just, if there's interest out there, I'd like to find out now. And if that interest needs to have us take that City Hall, get all of that background work done, everything ready to go, at the very least, I'd like to be, I personally would like to have all of those questions answered from an engineer standpoint, internal standpoint, so that we're ready to take it down, or developer takes it down. I understand we have to have park and ride, we have to have parking solutions going forward, just because of those two events. But after those events, it is absolutely a park and ride situation. And if we're doing initial work on the City Hall site, I don't see where we lose all of those spots at the City Hall.
Right, we'd have to get a little further along and figuring out what kind of room they would need to do all of the staging, the ingress egress for the entrances. The trucks will be in and out of for the removal, but I think a lot of it relates back to them taking over the site and how much of the site we are going to give up for them to stage in. I mean, we could certainly define that, but that may have some effect on the price as well. If we minimize the site for them to stage in, that may have an effect on that cost. I would have to leave that to Tim and company.
The alternate side for me, of the mayor's and Councilman Hamilton's argument is that if we leave this up, and for whatever reason, Imagine Clearwater's delayed, we're not able to proceed, we're not able to go forward, we've got this white elephant sitting there that doesn't reflect well, and I think it's much more attractive as a clean slate, open waterfront, to where we can get somebody really interested for Imagine Clearwater. So those are my 2 cents. Given the reduced cost to take it down, and I think the perceived opportunity with no City Hall there is a little more exciting for me personally.
It would be nice also to have one referendum for all the properties rather than 3 separate referendums for each piece. And if we do it with a master planner, even before City Hall goes down, that will speed up a referendum. The planner can show us what it's going to look like, and we take that to the voters then to see if that's what they would like. Yeah.
I can promise you, in the development community, whether there's a structure on the site or not makes 0 difference to the development community. They're looking at, what are my boundaries? How big is the piece of land I'm working with? What is the site? What is the, what am I allowed to do with it? What's on it makes no difference, because these guys are experts and very used to coming in and scraping clean a site and start and to create the blank slate. Again, I don't, as the mayor alluded to, I'm not sure we need to pay to clean the slate. I think the developer, when we get to that point, is probably going to be willing to pay. If it can be done for $200,000, which I'm not sure that's true, a developer that's going to have the opportunity to develop the property we're talking about, $200,000 is nothing to roll into the cost of doing the development. So.
And I think we also have to keep in mind, what have we seen happen in other communities? They've come in and put pieces of property together. They don't look at just one block. We've got several blocks that are going to be available, for redevelopment. And if we're only going to concentrate on one site and one block, I think we're shortchanging our community in saying, hey, let's just market the City Hall site. Mr. Albrecht.
I wasn't necessarily thinking we would start at City Hall, but it shows the community that we are moving forward. I understand what your arguments are, and if it does save us money, that's fine, but in order to get a developer, how long have we been talking about Magic Clearwater? Then I haven't heard anything about developers stepping up saying, oh, I've got a great plan. So they really probably are not going to come out till they see that we're serious about starting something down there. And to me, this just shows that we're wanting to start something.
Now, again, Mr. Albritton, you're forgetting what was told to us at the beginning. Where were we supposed to start?
I understand that. No, I understand that.
We were supposed to start at the gateway.
And we start at the gateway, but I just don't want to see us doing, as Dr. Cundiff said, putting one ball in the air at a time. I think now that we've committed to Harborview, let's move forward. Last summer I said, why don't we start on the retention pond area? Do something. Really, let's just start on something.
Well,
I don't want to see Harborview come down and then it's going to be 6 months until we decide to take the parking lot out, and then another 6 months until we get developers interested in doing something. And developers aren't going to come to us overnight and just say, here's our plan. It's going to take, you got to factor time in that. So I want to keep things moving as best we can.
But when each of us comes up with a different idea that needs to be considered, it slows the process down. And it sends mixed signals to staff, and it sends mixed signals to the community. And if we just stay focused right now on the most important thing, take the Harborview Center down.
We've already done that.
But we haven't seen anything about what we're going to do with the Civic Gateway, which was supposed to be the first thing that we do. Because we keep saying, well, let's do this, let's do that. What about here? Let's decide that this is what we're going to get done, and let's just do it.
Then let's bring it forward to us and let's talk about the Civic Gateway. We haven't even talked about that yet.
Exactly. But that's part of nobody wants to admit it, but part of that is our fault. Because we keep telling staff something different, and we get sidetracked, like we got sidetracked on what we're going to do with the amphitheater. And we spent how many months talking about the amphitheater, pavilion, or whatever else you want to call it.
This whole project we're going to have lots of decisions to make on this whole project. I just want to get into it. That's all I want to do. Okay?
I think we're all on that page. But as I've said many times, and y'all are probably tired of me, none of us have a magic wand that's going to get it done right away. Mr. Maxwell?
Yes, I just wanted to bring up a couple items. One relates to the Civic Gateway. Once we work through our meeting on April 1st with Duncan, that is a big domino. Our decision to do whatever we're going to do in that amphitheater area will allow us to finalize what we want to do in the Civic Gateway. The sloping is the major issue there. Our engineers are already working on the effect of having the 2% sloping that we discussed at the previous meeting with Duncan, and what that does to that area. So we'll be prepared to talk about that at the April 1st meeting, about what that's going to look like. The second piece that I just wanted to mention, and we intended to bring and still intend to bring in April, some conversation about the sort of the redevelopment strategy for the Osceola corridor. One of the big pieces to that is the timing of when we go to referendum and what we bring to referendum. Is it just the box that we would like someone to operate within and have the voters approve nothing higher than X and nothing wider than Y, whatever that might be? Or is it something that that is vetted out by a developer. We have heard in some of our conversations with the developers, similar to what Councilmember Hamilton said, that the preference is more of just give me the box I'm allowed to play in and let me play there, rather than them investing monies in. Now, we want to make sure we have a full conversation about all of the positives and negatives surrounding that. So, I didn't intend to get deep into that tonight, but I'm happy to work into that in April as we get ready. Sorry.
Well, my response to that is, I think that's a mistake, just giving a referendum for a box. We need to be specific about what we're giving on a referendum, or it's going to fail. So I'm all for getting in touch with the developers, having them to give us a conceptual, what do you want, what are you doing here, and us vetting it and then putting it out. But we can't say, we'd like to build a box here so high, so wide, and so deep, and have I'm already getting questions like, what is going there? Is it mixed use? Is it a restaurant? Is this and that? It's got to be pretty specific if we're going to referendum in order for that to pass.
It would have to be.
This, Mayor, to make a comment about half of this delay is our fault. Whether it's Imagine Clearwater, the pavilion, whatever we're talking about, this is such an extremely important decision in our time right now for the city of Clearwater. And I won't say that we've made mistakes, but I would say that these conversations and these changing our minds and these modifications are extremely relevant and of the utmost importance, because it is about economics. And I would suggest that we are where we today because we listened to people who are experts, the people that gave us the original Imagine Clearwater footprint. They were citizens, they were residents, they weren't expert, they didn't understand economics and revenue generation. So we are today, especially the pavilion conversation, because of economics and generating revenue. So I think that's extremely important, and any additional conversations we have going forward with this project are equally important. And I would agree with Councilman Albritton, and especially with Dr. Cundiff when he said more than one ball in the air. So even if we don't take down City Hall, we're working on this. We're going to be working on the Civic Gateway. Why would we not right now? Let's get ready. Let's get these properties ready for a master RFP. So it doesn't have to come down. But why would we not go as quickly as possible for a master RFP to see what the interest is? I mean, everybody. I remember I was here. Active Edge. Osceola is the active edge. Imagine Clearwater wasn't supposed to. It was supposed to activate Osceola, and it was going to migrate east for downtown. So I like the idea of more than one ball in the air. I think we're under pressure from the community, the business community, the development community. Everybody's got our eyes on us. Let's not bog ourselves down in every one of these steps that we're talking about. It does add another 3 or 4 months to the process. So why wouldn't we do a master RFP right now to see what the interest is? We are moving forward.
But again, maybe you're not understanding what I said, or maybe I didn't say it the right way. I didn't say that it was our fault, but we're part of the fault. Okay?
But necessary. I think it's necessary.
And the conversations that we've had are fine, and they are necessary. Right. But don't criticize us for not moving forward when we're slowing down and trying to have these.
Anybody's criticizing anybody. We're just
trying to have these discussions as to what's going on.
Right.
We've been told that they're already working on these things, maybe not at the speed that you would want, okay? But things are being done by staff that haven't come to mind yet. But that doesn't mean that they're not, that they're only tossing one ball at a time.
Right.
You know, sometimes we sell short our staff because they're not doing what we specifically want them to do.
Well, what would be, let me ask you this, and then we can direct this question to staff. We're working on these things with City Hall. How do we get, what would be the expected, what's an anticipated time frame when we would go with a master RFP for all these multiple properties we're talking about, the CMA lot, the City Hall site? Right now, at the speed that we're going, when might we be able to expect an RFP for that site?
I think that really depends on a number of factors that we want to get deep into. One is, does it make more sense to put it out, an RFP out prior to construction of the park or after construction has begun. Because another thing that we've heard from multiple groups is they want to see commitment, and to them, commitment is moving forward with construction on a $55 million park. That is a factor that we need to, to weigh. So there are a number of different elements like that that we need to put out on the table during that discussion of the redevelopment strategy and really flesh out with you all so that you've got the information you need to make those decisions. I think we need to bring that out and just sort of lay it all out for you. But it is a complex group of issues that are all intertwined, and there'll be positives and negatives depending on all of the answers that you give us.
So answer the question this way. How long typically does it take to issue an RFP of what we're talking about? Pam?
We have not issued an RFP of this scope and scale before. This would not be a typical RFP at all. And I agree with Micah that this is going to take a lot of time and discussion for preparation. This will be a lengthy process to get the RFP prepared. So I can't give you a set amount of time. I think as I've been talking to council, I've told them I think it would take no less than 6 months. That may be conservative, depending upon what we want to include in that RFP. This will not be fast, just to get it done.
All right.
And the other thing I think we need to keep in mind is imagine Clearwater had 3 main parts that we were to address. The Civic Gateway, the green area in the park, and the
Swamp.
The swamp. Well, I didn't want to use that word. The lake area. Yeah, that was going to be what was going to be done first. And then we were going to be looking at the rest. What was that, Joe? Ms. Silverbrook?
And there was 5 years set aside
Yeah.
for that first phase.
Yeah, that was going to be the first phase. And we keep losing sight of that. Mr. Hamilton?
Well, I said when we started this whole process, I said, the final product is going to be something that's going to be there for generations.
Yeah.
And it's much more important in my mind to get it done right than to get it done fast, to just, really get. And I also believe, yes, but we need, and we're getting close to the point where we're going to put our votes and our stamp on exactly what the bayfront's going to look like, what the band shell's going to ultimately be, what the park is going to, how the park is going to be designed, how the swamp/lake area is going to be. That we're not that far away from that when you look at the overall development calendar and progression. And I think you need that plan in place, and basically you need some dirt being moved down there for the development community to then look at the properties we want to put out there for an RFP and say, what would you put here? Because you now know this is what's going to be down there. We're moving the dirt, we're building what's down there. Now, what would you put up here that would accentuate and work together to create more vibrancy and energy in our downtown?
Mr. Kondo?
We've had pictures of that park for years, and anybody who wanted to develop around it would only have to look at those pictures in order to design along Osceola. I don't see why we can't do both at the same time. You have legal staff that works on the RFPs along with you guys. What's everybody else going to do while that happens? Might as well start those RFPs today, and 6-8 months from now
The
they're done.
RFP will not be prepared by my office. So it's not, we will review it certainly, but we will not do the preparation of the RFP.
The sooner we get the RFP, the sooner we can have a referendum, because we know what we're going to put up.
Mr. Albrecht?
I'm sorry, I just want to see some activity going on this. I think we've got plenty We have a lot that we have to decide on. I'm eager to get that so I can start deciding, and we can start talking about it. What I've seen over the years being involved with committees and being close with the city on projects is we have a wave of good economy and bad economy. And it seems like we don't move fast enough to hit those waves where we're on the top of the, I mean, we start talking about it, and by the time we're ready to go, it's in a slump and nobody wants to do anything. You aren't going to find developers if we hit a slump because they're not going to want to do that. Things are good now, and that's why I am so eager to get things moving, because we have a beautiful, this is a beautiful project, and we will attract developers that want to be part of this, but we have to get going on it. And I really don't care where we start. I mean, Harborview is a big piece of it for me. Get that out of the way, because then you can really see how it opens up into downtown. But I'm just eager to start anything. And I realize that we got some commitments toward the end of the year that we need to work around. I don't want to be throwing a wrench into that, but at the same time, we need to be thinking of how we can, if you need to put that park and ride stuff together, now's the time to do it, because we're going to be needing it. And I don't want to see that coming up in a couple of months going, well, we got to figure out how we're going to move people around. Let's be thinking about it now. So I'm just saying, I don't know. I was a remodeling contractor for 39 years, and if I didn't get like 8 balls in the air at one time, I couldn't get through my project. So,
And that is one that we have been working on, the sort of a people mover portion of it, something in the downtown to try to move people around during construction and even after construction. So sort of a multi-phase piece. So we are working on that. We simply weren't ready to talk about it this evening.
okay.
But we should be able to have some conversation at least about the first phase of that in April meeting.
Mr. Puglis.
I'm in agreement with Mr. Cundiff and Mr. Albritton, is that if it's going to take 6 months for an RFP, why wouldn't we, and we're not going to do it in-house anyway, why wouldn't we start gathering information on that? Because we are, like Councilman Hamilton said, we are getting ready to finalize the size, look, feel, scope, everything within the Coachman Park footprint. We just sent our senior staff to Texas for P3 conference. What's to say that if we started working on that P3 now, the RFP now, that we might get a developer that's not only interested in all the sites that we have available in Osceola, but maybe a certain portion, or because I know this is such a big project, I think it's going to take several moving pieces since we haven't identified all of the financing yet. P3 to me, and I know it's complicated, it's a different process, and this is very different from conventional P3s around the country, but I think this is going to take a collaboration of multiple funding sources to get this done. And if we start an RFP now, here's all the vacant property we have in Osceola, and by the way, here is the template, this is what the look, feel, size, scope, everything is here, maybe we get interest. I don't see why that would hurt the process, and it would keep things really moving, active, conversations going all over within the development community.
And I would say that I think we're probably a month to 6 weeks early on that conversation, only because I want to make sure that you do understand the pros and cons of all of those decisions you're going to make. List them out there so they're very clear for you to understand, and then we can have the content that you would put in an RFP. But I think that's a key step that we need to allow you to have some time to think about.
Mr. Horn.
Mayor, let me make a series of comments. This reminds me of a conversation that we had when we were in the hotel redevelopment phase. The council at the time was very frustrated that even though we had Beach by Design approved, in fact, we started Beach by Design while we were entertaining hotel redevelopment projects because the council wanted to try and get something done. Pam, you remember, I asked the council, do you want to finish Beach by Design and then we worry about or entertain projects? And they said, no, we want to try and do them both at the same time. But it was that frustration that was very clear, and it was directed at us, you know, at staff. The only challenge was the market. The market is what redevelops. The staff doesn't redevelop. It's the market that responds. And so everybody kind of settled down a little bit. And then once we progressed into the future, then the market started to respond. Then the projects came, and then the council made their decisions. I am comfortable living in this tension that is represented among all 5 of you. We can only move so fast. We can only bounce so many balls in the air because we're ultimately accountable for those balls. And so I know you want to move faster, and we will move faster. There are some things that we can do in preparation for the next step. So, you know, as Micah kind of outlined, we can get the City Hall site ready. Yeah, we can work on that stuff. And there may be other things that we can do, but I just want you to know you can only push us to move so fast. And it is what it is. That's why I asked the question, how long is it going to take to do an RFP or RFDQ? And what did Pam say? Probably conservatively, what, 6 months? Mm-hmm. Well, if that's really what we're talking about, then I don't know how to make that happen quicker. You know, so I'm just saying, you know, I can live with this tension that I'm feeling from you because I know where it's coming from. I know how genuinely you want us to move forward. But just understand, you know, we can only move so far. All right, that's number 1. Number 2 is that what I also learned 15 years ago is that we cannot get too far out in front of you because you want to play in the sandbox. You want to make some decisions. You don't want us to make those decisions. So we try to facilitate a process where you can make those decisions. Tonight's discussion was about demolition, remember? Well, we're not talking about demolition. I mean, we kind of moved off of demolition because we're not ready to demolish. But I have to accommodate your having this conversation because we aren't sure what it is we're doing. So one of the things that I would like to get from you tonight, based on all your conversation, what would you think that we should be doing once we leave here tonight? We clearly are doing some preparatory things, you know, so all that stuff is understood, you know, we're doing all that. But I'm not real sure I know on the demolition question what your corporate view is on that.
One question from Mr. Horn, if that's okay.
Mr. Pugways.
And a clarification from Pam. Is it from today, is it 6 months until we're ready for an RFP, or 6 months from whenever we start?
I think it's 6 months from wherever you start in actually doing the work to prepare it. You will have to have the advice of various consultants working with you on that. I think it will take about 6 months to get it prepared,
Once we start.
revised once you start, not from today.
So then I'm going to go back to my original question. When do we think, based on the process we're currently engaged in, that we might be ready to go to RFP? Because it's going to take 6 months when we start. If we've got another 6 months to go before we get there, a year is not going, it's not going to make me happy, it's not going to make the community happy.
Okay. No, I'll let you finish.
No, I'm just.
But that, again, imagine Clearwater was not focused on redevelopment of Osceola. Imagine Clearwater was focused on redevelopment of the Coachman Park area. And we are now forgetting Imagine Clearwater because we want to get something on Osceola done right away.
What was the goal of Imagine Clearwater?
The goal of Imagine Clearwater was to finish the park.
Downtown?
No, sir. No, sir. We never sold it as downtown. We sold it as making the Coachman Park area a vibrant center so that then we could go forward in redevelopment of the downtown. Now, your perception was different than mine then, okay? And that's where we're having this stumbling block that's causing problems for staff and frustrating us. And again, I'm going to go back to what the consultants told us to do first. They didn't say do Osceola Street first. They said do the park area first, and that will spill over into the downtown.
I would suggest that consultants don't always have it right.
No, they
And,
don't,
Mayor-
but we don't always have it right either.
I agree.
Okay, and what we're trying to do is, what did we tell our residents? Help us do Coachman Park with this Imagine Clearwater plan. Because we're still gonna have to go back to them to get approval for whatever we do on Osceola. And if we don't show them something that we've done with what they gave us permission to do, how in the world do you expect them to give you permission to do something that you haven't done in the first place?
Mayor, I was on council in 2012 through 16 when we brought in, city manager suggested, because we had run out of, last Friday wasn't revitalizing downtown. Urban Land Institute was brought in, we had 48 recommendations. Coachman Park wasn't even on the table. Imagine, it wasn't even, I don't think it was called Imagine Clearwater at that point, because CMA was going to move downtown. All 48 of those recommendations, each and every one of them, we brought Urban Land Institute in to revitalize downtown. And when CMA failed to finance, that made Imagine Clearwater move to number one. But it's always, all the Urban Land Institute, who else was here? Hoyt was here. It was always about revitalizing downtown. Coachman Park, it's a great big wonderful green space right now that nobody goes to. So yes, it's going to be a community asset, but it was always intent, and it was a process. It was because the active edge was huge. The active edge was then going to migrate to downtown. So I'm not even convinced the Gateway needs to be the first thing. I think the amphitheater, pavilion, whatever we're going to call it, that needs to be decided, and that needs to be the first thing. Because we still have Water's Edge, and we have internal, there's still discussions, and I know we're modifying the plan for the Gateway, but I don't know that we'll get to where we need to be with the community on that Gateway to be the very first thing that we do.
Difference of interpretation, Mr. Polglaze.
I just wanted to answer Councilmember Polglaze's question. That's that 4 to 6 week timeline for us to be able to have that conversation about all of those different elements that you need to consider on how we move forward with the RFP, to know what we're going to put in the RFP. So we're really looking at that as the timeline, and based on that conversation, certainly, whether or not that would require additional work or whatever, we don't know the answer to that yet because we haven't had the meeting, but that's the timeline in which we would be bringing it back.
I think
to
6
for
weeks
redevelopment.
is acceptable to be able to have that next conversation about that. I mean, if you're comfortable with 6 weeks,
No, I believe we'll have enough to be able to have the conversation and really give you the data that you need. Whether or not something else pops up and you ask us to look back at more information, can't predict that, but we're going to try to work with you all individually as well, so we can understand what questions you're going to have in addition to the ones that we have.
And by the way, I still support, Mr. Horn alluded to it, the subject of this conversation was about demolishing City Hall. I still believe we should do that. I think that really shows the development community that we have made available. CMA properties, City Hall, Harborview, they're all gone. And by the way, here is the template. This is what Imagine Clearwater is going to look like. We open our arms to any and all ideas for financing. This is what we can do. We've sent staff to, I'm glad Mr. Horn's good with the tension, because I do believe we should be juggling more. And I know we are behind the scenes. We're doing work on City Hall. But I think the official, the legislative part, the policy part, is the part where we need to give staff direction. Yeah, let's do this.
Tearing down City Hall is not going to get anything done any faster. It may make you feel good, okay? But as Mr. Hamilton alluded to, you're going to have open space there for a long time. And it's not going to,
Let's not hope a long time.
Well, but you are, because people want to see something finished. And tearing down City Hall doesn't finish anything. And no developer is going to come in when there's nothing else down there.
What do you think about someone 6 months from now, if we don't let an RFP for 6 months, and then it takes 6 months to finish it, people are going to say, that white elephant, empty, ugly shell of a 1969 building is still sitting there. They're not doing a darn thing.
I would, and that's to the, for lack of a better term, that's to the uninformed. Because if we do our due diligence and we put an RFP together, the RFP will show progress. Need to know we're making progress. The development community and whatnot submit proposals based on that RFP, show something. And ultimately, out of that RFP, I believe we can get the demolition of City Hall paid for by someone other than us. And I think that's a big win.
All right.
And let me also remind ourselves that we demolished the economy in property.
That needed to go. That was.
It needed to go, but we demolished it 10 years ago.
And it's
still an empty lot, with the exception of the portion that's being used by the community guards.
You're the developer. You put yourself in the developer's shoes. Would you develop in Clearwater yet to that extent in the East Gateway?
Would you develop on that one site when you don't know anything else that's going on?
On Clearwater's Harbor?
Yeah.
Absolutely, unquestionable, no doubt.
Well, let's get the RFP together and let's see.
Let's do that. That's the direction we need to go.
But one parcel isn't as valuable as the whole parcel. That's what y'all are missing about it.
We're not missing. We're talking about a master RFP for everything.
And who knows how much more valuable it will be if we can show not only ourselves and the developers, but our community that we've done something with what we told them we were going to do first off.
Then let's.
That's what we're talking about doing. And again, you want it done tonight. It's not going to happen tonight. It's not going to happen at our next meeting. Let's just stop worrying about how quickly can it get done, because the more we worry about how quickly it's going to get done, the longer it's going to take. Mr. Albright.
Okay, I can make a concession on the demo of City Hall. I just want to talk about what the next step is after Harborview. I think we ought to know that. Is that something we need to talk about tonight? Let's talk about it tonight, so we know that once Harborview comes down, where are we going after that? Can we start something else? I mean, I brought it up last summer. Can we start back at City Hall, do something in the dirt?
Well,
you want to look at construction? I'm all for construction, not demolition, but let's do something.
So we can begin the design on this next step, so the post 15, call it 15% design, and then construction phased coming out of that. But we need to finalize in April the decision on what exactly we're going to have. The financials are going to come back to you, whether or not those are show that it's a money maker or not may impact your decisions. We want to give you that information so that you can use it. If it impacts it and impacts things like slope and the like, the slope has been the big hurdle as it relates to those out parcels, the lake included. The elevations that were required if we were going to have more of a stadium seating, which I know at the last meeting we said we were going to stick to the 2%. Yes. But again, we need to finish that conversation and determine whether or not the financial feasibility that you've asked us to do is in line with that, and what these different costs are, so that you can have that information for the final decision. We're preparing it based on the 2%, focus on the 2%, so that if that's what it is, we're ready to go. We're ready to move forward. We're ready to finish those conversations about whether or not we move the Civic Gateway back or leave it where it is or do something with the pedestrian bridge. We're ready to have those conversations immediately once we make that decision on the amphitheater. But before that decision on the amphitheater, the final decision on the amphitheater occurs, talk about moving it forward or back or the pedestrian bridge, it can't be final because it is greatly impacted by the different slopes. As is the lake. So that April 1 meeting is very important. in terms of giving us the direction to, so we'll know which way to go. Again, we're pushing forward with what we believe we will be continuing on with, so that we're not just waiting and not doing anything right now. We are moving forward, and hopefully we'll continue on after that April 1st meeting. The other item that I was going to mention that was off subject from what Councilmember Albritton mentioned, I believe that whether or not that site, City Hall, does or does not have a facility on it or a structure on it, does probably come into the pro-con about RFPs and how we do it and when we do it. I think that's part of the conversation potentially, and I can see where it would have some value in that discussion, and that falls right into that 4 to 6 week timeline. We're moving forward in the next 4 to 6 weeks on asbestos abatement, not the actual abatement, but the survey. So it doesn't hold us up to have that conversation in 6 weeks or 4 weeks. It doesn't hold us up at all. We'll be ready to move forward one way or another after that. But I think that's a key time where we can discuss issues like should we have the facility there or not, to make it the most valuable to the city and the most efficient for our construction.
Mr. Condon.
Since you brought up the Webb's financial studies, my question was, have we instructed him just to look at 3,000 seats?
He's going off of the instruction that he received at the last meeting. To my knowledge, and I haven't looked back at it, but my understanding of that was that it was 3,000, and he was focused on it being a versatile area with a temporary / retractable roof. Now, that was my remembrance of the conversation. I'll have to look back and confirm that, because I was asked that question earlier today too, but that, I believe, is what he's looking at. The other thing that I remembered him saying was that it was easier to go down than up. So he may struggle to go up from that. I would have to talk to Duncan about that and confirm whether or not that's an issue. And I have a call with him tomorrow where I can start.
My question is,
There's a way we could.
Hold on a second, Mr. Albrecht. Hold on.
my question is, if he comes back and says 3,000 seats is not financially feasible, we're where we were a month ago. Why don't we have him look at 3,000 seats or 4,000 seats or 5,000 seats? And if there's another number that's more feasible than 3,000 seats.
So we have tried our best from a staff perspective to remain independent on this. We wanted him to receive the direction from the council. So we're really, I'll let Mr. Horn know.
This is my recommendation, is that you have had an opportunity to give guidance to the consultant. You did that. If you don't like what he tells you, then you can move in a different direction. If 3,000 isn't enough, then you go to 4,000 or whatever it is. But you can't expect, this professional to take the conversation, do his very best to understand what you've told him, come back to you with what he thinks he has heard, and then it's not a perfect process. He heard you, he's reacting to it. If it's not what you want, then you have the ability to change that. And whatever consequence associated with that, then that's, you want to accept that. There is clear difference of opinion on how big the apple should be. But you all reason through that. You all reason through that. And that's what he took away. So if it's less than what you wanted, when he brings it back, you're going to have to talk about it and sort it out. I mean, that's the process.
Mr. Albrecht. Mr. Albrecht.
Well, just to be clear, my recollection of what was talked about, and I talked to Mr. Maxwell about this today, was that he wanted to start at 3,000 and it was a scalable number, that if you could go down or up, because if he comes back and we still got time if he comes back and says, here's my report on 3,000, and we say, well, what about 2,500 or 3,500? Well, I have to go back another 6 weeks and figure that out. I don't want to hear that. I want to have him, based around the 3,000 seat thing, be able to tell us if we decide 3,200, where's that going to be? If it's 2,700, if it's 3,500, he ought to be able to tell us. I want a scalable number around that number.
I thought it was a starting point.
What he said was 3,000 seating, but he said he wanted you to think in terms of 10,000 total.
That's fine. The total in the green area, I understand, but
So that's what he said.
but also the scalable roof, I brought up, I said, why are you pricing a expensive retractable roof when I know that's going to be more? He said, well, I'm going to go ahead and do that. The technology is advanced, and I think I can give you.
We should have two options.
Well, I don't want. Anyway, so that's fine. If you want to bring us that number, it's not going to. It's something we can look at, but I mean. I told him that I thought that was going to be an expensive option to do, and maybe we'd be talking about a fixed roof that can, you know, and he kind of wanted to go off in the retractable roof area. But so I hope he brings us prices on both, is what I'm saying. And if one of you talk to him, I'd like him just to.
The engineers are working on the retractable piece, and the engineers also have some data, and I'll confirm that they'll bring the fixed as well. But some data on the fixed. Duncan is not necessarily injecting the capital construction cost into his O&M. It'll be sort of it's additional information to consider while we're talking about whether or not it can operate from a business perspective outside of capital. We'll have the capital numbers there as well to sort of help inform the conversation, but we should have both numbers at that meeting.
Okay.
For that. Now the 4,000, I will have to confirm with Duncan whether or not he can scale up like that or not. I don't know the answer to that question yet.
Mr. Fogler.
My understanding was exactly that, because he started at 25 and we talked him up to 3. And then at the end of the conversation, it was, okay, that'll be a starting point for the next conversation. Now, if it's going to be an end-all, because those are the only numbers that he gave us, is revenue-based, projections based on 3,000 seats, I don't think that doesn't really satisfy or answer the questions that we have.
I think you need to go back and look at the meeting, at the very end, where things were kind of summarized.
Well, and then the other thing was, and he really was pushing hard for the retractable. I mean, and if we're not going to get an option for a fixed roof, then I don't either we weren't clear enough or he didn't interpret well enough.
No, the fixed. So I believe what his professional recommendation was to keep it as versatile as possible, and he felt that the temporary retractable roof was the best way to achieve that. I don't have any doubt that he understands that we have to weigh all of these different things, whether it's an operating and maintenance question or a capital question. We're going to have to weigh all of these things, but we need to have all that data together.
Yeah.
The engineer is the one that's going to be putting those numbers together on both issues. His intent was to push the engineer to find those solutions that that are more appropriate with the market as Duncan sees it. So we'll have the information, and his job is to make sure that it's the right information.
Well, I think, Micah, you heard us, and you can relay this to Duncan. But I want to get back to the other conversation.
Well, wait, Mr. Hamilton had a comment.
I think we're unnecessarily muddying the waters ahead of what's going on, because my expectation is that when Mr. Webb comes back in front of us on April 1st, he's going to give us the economic analysis of a 3,000 seat, and he'll say, I think 3,000 seats, he's either going to say, I think it easily works or is going to be difficult. One of the two. Because if he says it easily works, that means maybe we would want to go a little bit more. If he says it's going to be very difficult, that's telling me 3,000 is too many. We might need to consider dropping the number. But we're playing a lot of what ifs right now, not knowing what he's going to come present to us. And I'd rather, instead of getting my blood pressure up, I'd rather wait for him to make his presentation, and then let's react to that and move forward from there.
In addition, I might add, if he only comes back to us saying that 3,000 doesn't work and doesn't go any further, then he hasn't done his job well, in my opinion, because he ought to be able to tell us, okay, y'all talked about 3,000 and 10,000, but 3,000 seats aren't going to work. You really need to go to 4,000 or 5,000 capacity for seats and 5,000. Because again, he kept stressing it's not how many seats, but how many people you can get in there to make it work.
Flexible seating.
And that was the and if he's only focused on 3,000, then I don't think he's done his job, because he's got that flexibility to tell us what works. He knows that we need to have it break even and not lose money for us.
Mayor, are you saying 3,000 covered, or 5,000 covered, or 5,000?
No.
Overall,
I think he was talking 3,000 covered.
Yep. Yes. Yeah.
But if he comes back and says 3,000 covered isn't going to work, you're really going to have to look at 4,000 covered to make this work. I would be disappointed if he doesn't tell us that.
He's going to look at, and I did have a meeting with him earlier this week, and I have seen not the specific numbers because he hasn't plugged them in yet, but the overall model that he will be providing and talking about. He probably won't go deep into the granular piece of it, but the overall piece. I will tell you that he is looking at it from the perspective, from multiple perspectives, and they include covered, and then also those people that are not covered, and revenue is still streaming in from those people. So he's not just gonna clock it out at 3,000, that's it. It's gonna be 3,000 plus what do these other things look like. But I will say that I do not believe that he is, his intent is to scale down, based on my understanding of the conversation last time, not scaling up. So if there is additional information that I need to try to get him to provide, direction on that would be helpful sooner rather than later.
Well, I think it's fair to say that if 3,000 isn't going to be a break-even number, then we need to know what the break-even number is.
Well, I don't know that he is going to provide that, because I don't know where that is. He's not going to throw every number out there. If it's 7 or 8 or 10,000, I mean, he's looking at what the market, what type of facility the market needs, or is being driven towards, and then, which was what he presented, and then will it work? And it's not trying to find out
I got
what
some numbers for you.
Yeah.
General admission is 15 to 50. VIP seats, covered seating, starting at 75 all the way up to $300. So that's the numbers. And then the food vendors, those are our numbers. That's what puts revenue in the city's pocket.
Yeah, he's got all of that's all part of his model. It's all part of his model. Yeah.
Well, but you see what I mean? It makes sense that the more VIP seats that you sell, if he's talking 10,000 for the whole park, that's currently we're at 7,000 in the grass, 3,000 currently. If that's you see what I mean? I'm more about scaling up than down.
I think that we don't know what we're not missing, I think is the question. We don't, or if we are missing something, myself included. I mean, that's why we've got Duncan to try to flush out all of those hidden costs or hidden revenues. And that's what he's going to try to bring back to us.
All right, let's not try to second guess what's going to come back. We'll just. My only concern is that it's on April the 1st. I would have felt better if it wasn't on April Fool's Day.
I have given him strict instructions to not play an April Fool's joke.
Okay.
Did we end up with 4 for the RFP thing? Where were we on that?
Well, again, this goes back to what I said earlier that y'all didn't like. We're our own worst enemy sometimes when we get off on these tangents. And I've let us get off on these tangents, because I think that it's important that we try to flush everybody out to understand where we are, because we haven't had these conversations.
I think we were done with, I think there were four of us that were looking at RFP, and then Dr. Cundiff brought up the seat thing, which I think was a relevant
Mr.
conversation.
Horn, you wanted to add something here? I mean, we've really muddied the waters up an awful lot.
Well, I was going to ask that respectfully, you all will let us, be in conversation with you that gives us the opportunity to push back in areas that we don't feel comfortable with. There is a lot of disagreement. This is very difficult. You all have made this very difficult because we're trying to support all of you. And in the absence of any decisions, now we're trying to, just your comment about, well, is everybody ready for the RFP? Well, I'm not real sure whether your conversation takes you to a decision about that. And then I don't know whether I can respond as to how we can respond to that RFP decision. So I think, at best, if you can share some intent, we can go back and talk about, okay, based on what we heard, here is kind of how we feel we need to proceed, and then throw that back at you. That's the best I can do tonight. But clearly there is no demolition. I'm not hearing any demolition right now.
I'm good with what Micah said, 4 to 6 weeks for an RFP. To have the conversation.
Discuss it as part of that conversation, yeah.
Let's try to focus back on what we're talking about here, okay? What do we all agree needs to get done?
Forward motion.
Right.
Okay. What is the one thing that is going to get done this month?
Harbor review.
What are we going to do when that gets done? Immediately after that, we're going to have this conversation on the amphitheater, pavilion, whatever we want to call it. At that point, we're going to have staff know where we are with the amphitheater. We're going to have to make an agreement that time. Because if we don't, then 6 months from now, we're still going to be here wondering, why haven't we done anything with the Harborview Center torn down? So we're going to have to really decide once and for all what we want with that amphitheater, so that all these other pieces can start being tossed in the air.
Yep.
Okay? So that's where, if y'all agree with that, then let's focus on that. Let's get that done. And once that starts, it will show that we've started. It will enable us to see what interest there may be out there, because people may be talking to one of us and not talking to staff or talking to the rest of us, just feeling us out, and that doesn't get anything done, So let's do that. And then these balls maybe start coming at us faster than we can imagine. And let's also, again, and I don't mean, to have y'all misinterpret what I'm saying, but Mr. Johnson came into the office this morning to talk to me, and he had highlighted something that I had said about what did I learn from the strong mayor conversation. And what I learned was that sometimes, it was in there, that because each of us gives our own opinion to the manager and staff, then they have to circle back to us, to the rest of us, to say, well, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And we have these conversations, and that delays things. And it frustrates us. And I think that the Strong Mayor initiative was more aimed at, well, if I only had one person to talk to, things would get done right away. Well, they might not get done right away, but they would seem that way. And so that's what I meant by when each of us has his own opinion, it delays things because we have to get to that consensus, which I think gives us a better product. And as Mr. Hamilton had alluded to any number of times, we'd rather do this right than fast. And despite what some of y'all are hearing, I think the community would rather have us do it right than fast also. And if we do that, then we will have that buy-in. Then we will have that attractor for the downtown park that's going to spill over to the Osceola, to spill over to Cleveland Street, to spill over up Cleveland Street, and give us that vibrancy that we all want to have. So, are we comfortable with that? Anything else then, Mr. Horn? Closing comments, Mr. Hamilton?
Mayor, I'm going to ask for a little leniency on the 3-minute rule due to, I need to ask Ms. Aiken some questions based on the citizens to be heard comment about me having a conflict.
I would recommend that you give me an opportunity to take a look at the document and that we have an opportunity to discuss before we have a public discussion of that. If it's okay with you. I understand your concerns. I understand.
I have no concerns. I know I have no conflict.
No, I understand that, but I think we should have a discussion before I sit here and make comments. And based on what I've looked at, and I have looked at it, I agree with you, but we need to give this a serious look and seriously address the concerns.
Because the only time I would have a conflict is if myself
Yes.
or a direct family member economically benefits from the
Correct.
vote.
I
And
understand.
nobody in my family made a dime off of anything alleged here.
And I totally agree with you. I think there's a fundamental misunderstanding about what a voting conflict is. But I think that's something that I have to address in writing.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I'm good.
Mr. Cundiff?
I don't have anything exciting to talk about.
Okay. Mr. Povelace?
I think it was extremely relevant, important, necessary discussion we had about our bluff. I am happy that we are working behind the scenes with the City Hall site, and I'm confident that things are going to really start April 1st. We're going to get some final decisions and give the development community, the citizens, a whole bunch of great things to talk about. So, thank you.
Mr. Albrecht?
I think it was a great conversation that we had here, even though we deviated, but in a way we didn't, because the demolition of Harborview for me just means progress. Even though you don't equate it, Mr. Mayor, with construction, it is part of the process to bring something down before something goes up. So as long as we're moving forward on this, and I have confidence in our staff, that they can bring us the questions that we need to vet in a timely way. Because if there's going to be a lot of questions on this project when we start getting into it, and I just need to have those, I need to have everything I can to make a wise decision. So don't give me one thing or two things to say, which do you like, or is this okay? Because I need to have probably a few different variations of that. And I think we all do. I mean, we all want to see a successful project done right. Speed isn't the most important thing, but we do need to be moving forward right now. So thank you for letting us have the time to talk about this tonight.
At the risk of getting myself in trouble, I think I voted against tearing down the Harborview Center immediately back when the subject first came up, because to Mr. Hamilton's point, I was afraid that if we leveled it and didn't have a plan for doing anything there, we would never be able to build anything there. And that was my comments on the City Hall site. I'm glad we're moving forward with the demolition now because we've got the civic gateway that we want to do. We just need to find the money to do it. And we may decide that the RFP or the naming rights for the pavilion or whatever will help us get money that we don't have, okay? But again, doing it piecemeal, in my opinion, and I'm not a developer, I'm not a contractor, I'm just me, you know, thinks that you will get more value for those properties once you show that something is being done and that the park is active in attracting people, and it will benefit not only all of Clearwater, but the downtown district that we're trying to revitalize. Let me remind everybody that spring break has started, that the park and ride with the free trolley is working. You can park for free in the downtown City Hall property. You can ride the trolley there. You can also ride the ferry and park for free. The county garages are free on the weekends. We encourage you to use this alternative, and we encourage our visitors, our residents, to be patient when they're driving on the causeway. Council, I was on US 19 several times this week going back and forth to Tarpon, and I can tell you every day at 5 o'clock there was traffic that was jammed from Countryside to Tarpon Springs practically, and that was every day, whether it's spring break or not. So, and I'm sure that's good business for our business, good economic business for our beach, and we are the #1 beach. And speaking of the #1 beach, you know, we have the #1 ball player in the country playing on the spring training in the #1 beach in the country. That's pretty good for all of us to be proud of, and continue to support the Phillies and the Threshers, who give back in so many different ways to our community throughout the year. You know, everybody thinks that the Phillies are in town just 6 weeks out of the year, and they are. From the chairman of the board to the president to their security people to their administrative staff, and to all the people that they bring down from Philadelphia at this time. But they also do it throughout the year. They've got people training in Clearwater, and we need to keep in mind that the economic benefit, not only to the city of Clearwater, but really to the entire county, is 365 days a year. The trolley, in addition to the baseball, we have the USF softball series at the Eddie Moore Complex. The USF, the University of South Florida Softball Bulls, brings in teams from across the country, with Michelle Smith coordinating this for pediatric cancer. They will have a weekend series the 8th, 9th, and 10th, and also the 15th, 16th, and 17th. Obviously, there are all kinds of events going on at the beach, at our parks and recreation departments, and also our libraries. Is going to have on the 16th, which is Saturday, from 11 o'clock to 6 o'clock, the Comic-Con. I think this is the 4th or 5th year that we're having Comic-Con here at the library. Our next work session is going to be on March the 18th, and our city council meeting will be on March the 21st. With that, thank you for spending part of your evening with us, and we will see y'all during our next meeting. We are adjourned.